Hello, my name's Stuart. If you're expecting another video on my DIY BMS project, don't be alarmed. There'll be some more videos on that project coming soon. This video is about a new project I've been looking at. Both projects are related, so stick around. Regular viewers will know I'm a big fan of JLC PCB, and I use them for circuit board supply and their assembly services. Overall, they've been fantastic. But sometimes I don't want to order 10 or 20 boards, and I don't want to wait 15 or 20 days for the boards to arrive from China. Recently, I've also run into a problem with the assembly service. Often parts go out of stock, you wait for a part to come back in stock, but then find another one's gone. I've seen an announcement from JLC that they are improving this service this year, so hopefully that will help. So that brings me on to the Index Pick and Place machine. You might be asking what a pick and place is. Well, simply put, it's a robot which picks up service mount components and places them very accurately onto a circuit board. If you use the JLC service, they have $1 million machines doing this for you. The Index Pick and Place isn't going to compete with these monster machines, but it fills a niche market which Stephen, the creator of the machine, calls mid-scale manufacturing. The Index machine would allow me to construct circuit boards like the DIY BMS without relying on JLC for parts, and give me the flexibility to help with future designs and one-off prototypes. I should mention that the Index project isn't mine. Stephen, the inventor of the project, has a whole YouTube series on the design and ideas behind it, so I recommend you check these out. I'll put a link on this video. Stephen's videos are fast-paced and unique to his style. My videos will be taking a slower pace, looking at how to actually put one of these machines together and the problems I found along the way. I'll also include where I got the parts from and the cost of them as well. That actually brings me to another good point. The final design for the Index machine isn't completely finished. People building the current version are helping with the research and development, although key components of the machine are well defined and the prototypes do actually work. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing and leaving comments and a thumbs up. It really helps me to know what content people want to watch. So that's enough of me talking. Let's get on with the build. Before we dive into 3D printing, I mentioned in the introduction that I'll be keeping a running total of the cost. So on the screen is the cost to build the Index machine, and I'll update it as we go along. I'm in the UK, but I'll show you the cost in dollars as that's more widely understood. Obviously your costs may vary depending on where you get your parts from. I'm also keeping a detailed list of suppliers and part numbers, and I'll put a link to that in the video description. If you take a look at the documentation for the Index project, you can see that there are a lot of 3D printed parts which are needed to construct the machine. I printed the parts on an Ender 3 Pro. This is quite an inexpensive printer, but it is a little bit slow to print. It seemed to do a good job though. I'll warn you now that it will take over 48 hours to print all the parts needed. You can use standard PLA and the colour doesn't really matter. I had lots of leftover filament, so my prints are different colours. I also recommend that you calibrate your printer before printing. I've created this 3D part which uses the same size holes as the Index machine. Use this to test if your nut and bolt holes are correct, along with the cutouts for the aluminium rails. As the calibration print is printed on its back face, the top of the square hole will be printed by bridging across between the towers on each side. I find this causes the square hole to shrink very slightly. You can see an extreme example of this in this video, where the bridge printing is performed too fast for the printer to keep up. There are two nut holes for M3 and M5 size nuts. If the printer is calibrated properly, the nuts should be a tight fit, but still possible to push in by hand. The bolt holes should allow the bolt to drop in freely, but not wobble about too much. And the square hole is for test fitting of the aluminium extrusion rails. These are 20 by 20 millimeters. You can normally open up the hole by carefully but forcefully pushing the 20 by 20 rail in. You may also want to file out some of the plastic until it fits. You do end up with a really tight fit, but be careful you don't end up snapping the print. Back over on the documentation website, there is a useful table explaining the quantity of parts you will need to print and an idea of how long it will take, although each 3D printer will vary. Some of the parts need different print settings, like the fill density, to make them stronger. To print all the parts will take over 2 days and use about half a kilo of filament.